Welcome to Biology, the science study of life. Notice the minister flower of Indonesia called Rafflesia arnoldi. Notice an overview of angiosperm reproduction. Back to an idealized flower, stigma style ovary, carpel, and stamen filament, and there notice the petal receptacle and sepal. Notice that. Closer look. The fertilization. Let's start with seed germination or germinating seed and mature sporophyte plant, second generation with the flowers and sperm pollen tube. Notice also the germinating pollen grain, male gametophyte on stigma of carpel, ovary base of carpel, ovule, embryo sac, female gametophyte, fertilization, zygote, second generation. Notice also embryo second generation sporophyte, simple fruit develops from ovary. Notice the floral variations, symmetry, ovary location, and floral distribution. Notice also the radical symmetry, the foldal semi-inferior ovary and sunflower inflorescence, lupin inflorescence. Notice also reproduction variations, Mias mono species. Notice the development of angiosperm gametophytes, pollen grains, and embryo sacs. Development of a male gametophyte, pollen grain. Notice a B, development of a female gametophyte, embryo sac. The embryo sac develops within ovule itself enclosed by the ovary at the base of carpel, and development of male gametophyte pollen grain. Pollen grains develop within a microsporangia pollen sacs of anthers at the tips of stamens. Notice also the steps. Each of microsporangia contains diploid microsporocoids, microscopo, mother cells. Each microscopoporocyte divides by meiosis, producing 4 haploid microspores, each of which develops into a pollen grain. 3. Pollen grain becomes a mature male gametophyte when its generative nucleus divides and forms 2 sperm. This usually occurs after pollen grain lands on the stigma of a carpel, and the pollen tube begins to grow. Notice mitosis. Notice one within the ovules. Megasporogium is large diploid cell called the megasporocyte, megaspore mother cell, and to the megasporocyte divides by meiosis and gives rise to four haploid cells, but in most species only one of these survives as a megaspore. 3. The mitotic divisions of the megaspore from an embryo sac, a multicellular female gametophyte. The ovule now consists of the embryo sac along with the surrounding integumentous protective tissue. Notice this one represents stigma and types, flower types reduce self-fertilization. And notice this one, double fertilization. Notice pollen grain, stigma, pollen tube, sperm style ovary. If a pollen grain germinates, pollen tube grows down the style toward the ovary. 2. Notice the pollen tube discharge 2 sperm into the female gametophyte embryo sac within an ovule. Notice 3. The one sperm fertilizes the egg, forming the zygote. The other sperm combines with the 2 polar nuclei of the embryo sac's large central cell, forming a triploid cell that develops into the nutrient tissue called endosperm. Embryo development also, notice the development of plant embryo, zygote, terminal basal cell, proembryo, suspensor, basal cell, and cotyledons, shoot apex, root apex, suspensor. Notice also oval, endosperm, nucleus, integument, zygote. These are the represent the development